First off, I'd be remiss in not going over my expectations for this game in my previous video, so I will be talking about what happened versus what I thought would happen, as well as the performance of the fantasy sleepers I recommended. First off, I said the Chargers should pound the ball. They started doing that. They were not very successful. Fortunately for them, though, the passing game was extremely successful, and we'll get into that when we go into the grading section. As far as Joey Bosa coming back, he did come back. He started kind of getting into his groove in the second half. He made two big plays on third down, stopping two runs from the backside, uh, beating Colton Miller badly. We'll talk about that in the grading section as well. As far as the short passing game, Chargers basically kind of did whatever they wanted in the passing section. There was no surprise. The only big surprise was the run defense from the Raiders as far as their plans go. And of course, Carr getting injured and Mariota coming in and playing basically 3/4 of football and overtime. Uh, as far as the fantasy sleeper, Tyron Johnson did get 3 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown right before the half. Uh, as expected, Keenan Allen did play but was very limited. He only had 1 catch in the game. As far as the Raiders go in their plan, they wanted to I said they wanted to pound the ball as well and split it with Booker and Jacobs. What actually happened was it was Jacobs and Marcus Mariota because Derek Carr got hurt in near the end of the first quarter in their second drive with a groin injury, and Mariota played the rest of the game, and they were basically doing run pass option RPO. He would also scramble for yards. He actually got 9 rushes for 88 yards and a touchdown. He scrambled and dove in for a score. So Booker did not do that well. I'll just skip to that sleeper part because that involves that. But I honestly feel that Mariota probably took away from him just based on the change of game plan due to the Carr injury. As far as the defensive reset, it's kind of Jekyll and Hyde, so to speak. I'll get into that in the grading section. And basically, the run defense looked improved, the pass defense looked worse. As far as the tight end attack, that's exactly what happened when Mariota came in. He targeted Waller big time, short crossing routes, some wheel routes to the outside. I think he ended up with 150 total yards, Waller did, so that one came to fruition as well. So this is how I broke down my report card for each team, based it off categories: offense, defense, special teams, coaching, which would include preparation before the game, and then execution and adjustments during the game, and then a final overall grade. So let's get into this. For the Chargers, as far as the run offense goes, I gave them a C- for the game. They had very few decent runs in the game. I think they had one that was like 7 or 8 yards. Very unremarkable. They got a total of 96 yards on the ground. They averaged 111. So, and part of that is they didn't really need it because their passing game was outstanding. They threw the ball at will. We'll get to the Raiders' pass defense, but not only was that horrific, Herbert would actually scramble out, make some plays. Scramble to the left, adjust to the side, and it made a lot of first downs. He made 7 of 12 first downs on third down conversions. He ended up 22 of 32 with 314 and 2 touchdowns. He also ran one in at the end to win the game. So great game for him overall. I did give them a B+ for their offense in general. I would have given them an A, but the running game did not look very well. I know the Raiders played a little bit better this week, but it was a short week and they don't really have the talent. So I think if they go up against a strong defense, they're going to have some hard times. They're going to struggle trying to run that ball. As far as the Chargers defense, I gave them a D for their run defense, and this is mainly on the second half and when kind of Mariota took over. They had a real difficult time handling the run pass option with Mariota and Jacobs. during the second half and in the overtime session. So as far as the pass defense, they were continually getting burned in the short passing game and wheel routes, mainly by Waller. They also had Renfro in that as well, some with Aguilar. But yeah, the short to intermediate game was really hurting them. And so I gave them a D overall for their defense. Like I said, the RPO was hurting them. Plus the Raiders converted all 4 of their fourth down conversions. For special teams and coaching, I gave them a D. Maybe not the fairest, but they did miss 2 field goals late. I know one was a 51-yarder, but still they had issues. It was third down. They were lining up to get good field position. They kind of blew a running call. They blew the play, and the Raiders got a sack on it, moved them back, and they just didn't execute. They could have won the game a couple times. They just didn't do it. So as far as the preparation goes, I just put okay. I didn't see anything extraordinary or anything terrible with the initial game plan. During the Raiders had the ball first. They went on 3 and out, punted the ball. Chargers got the ball in their first possession, went down the field and scored a touchdown. So the second possession is where Carr got hurt. Mariota came in, and that's why I gave them an F as far as their execution and adjustments during the game. They did not really have an answer for Mariota. They didn't have an answer for Waller. It was, I would not. I've heard bad things about Anthony Lynn, and you kind of see them every week. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It might be swept under the rug because they did get the win at the end, but they're not going to be able to beat better teams, better prepared teams. And in saying that, I gave them a B- for their final grade. Like I said, they got the win barely. To be honest, with the Raiders defense the way it was, they should have put them away a long time ago. They couldn't get the go-ahead field goal in regulation. They kind of struggled. The Raiders went down, marched down with the possession. They should have got a touchdown. They didn't. They did get the win, but did not look pretty. As far as the Raiders go, this is going to be a tough one for me. I gave them a C- for the run offense. It did not look very good, especially when Carr was under center. They did get some redemption with that RPO, like I said, and Mariota kind of scrambling and making plays when he didn't find any open receivers. So gave him a C-. There's still a lot to work on. The big issue, and I talk about in the total defense, is the offensive line. As far as the pass offense, it did pretty well under Mariota. Like I said, they were converting a lot of third downs, fourth downs, some third downs, not as often as the Chargers. The Chargers do have a better defense, obviously, but especially with Mariota coming in, he hasn't played in a game since last season, and for him to kind of come in cold like that and do that kind of concerning if I'm the Chargers coaching staff. As far as the total offense, I would give them a B-. I think that's kind of fair. The O-line is a mess right now. Both tackles are not doing too well. Colton Miller pretty much got owned by Joey Bosa in the second half, creating issues. Chargers got a lot of pressures. And the run assignments just weren't there. The blocking assignments weren't there. Even with Rodney Hudson, there were some issues. Ooh. As far as the defense, oh boy. I gave them a B for the running defense. Everybody and their mom thought Ekeler was going to have a huge game. He really didn't. He had, 70 total yards, 7 fantasy points. Balaj did get a short yardage score. But overall, like I said, Chargers only got 96 yards on the ground, which is not great. It's under average for the league. They did really step it up. They were gang tackling better. No more arm tackles. There was a little bit more discipline with Rod Marinelli. You could tell that. The issue, obviously, I wish there was a lower grade than F. I think that's being a little nice as the pass defense. I know they've had injuries. They had people, the list on COVID. They had Abram out, but it's just no excuse. They looked completely lost out there. Short game, medium game, deep, and then Trayvon Mullen. You know, I joked on social media while I was watching the game in the Raiders groups that he was channeling his inner DJ Hayden, because it seemed like every time they were going deep on him, there was a flag. And most of the time, I couldn't really argue with it. The way he was grabbing, it looked like DJ Hayden out there. It was crazy. But yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. You can't blame Marinelli. He's only had the team for a few days, but it's big issues. And then, like I said, I know the run defense did well, but the issues on the passing side overshadow it, and they couldn't get those key stops. They just couldn't do it, and that was the big reason why they lost this game. As far as special teams and coaching, I was probably a little kind here. The big one was that shank punt late in the first half, 19-yard punt. They got the ball on the Raiders' 49-yard line, which if it would have been a decent punt, it would at least been maybe held to a field goal. But no, Chargers marched down, got a touchdown, and took the lead. It was 10-10 at the time. I wouldn't say it was a backbreaker, but yeah, it was a morale blow for sure. The preparation from the coaching, I gave it a D. I'm not going to talk about Marinelli. It looked like the discipline was better on the defensive side, at least in the front seven, the run defense. But I direct this at Jon Gruden. I mean, we're seeing the same plays that didn't work before, and you can tell it gets into the adjustment phase, but it's the same thing. I know they're probably limited with Mariota once he got hurt, but team doesn't look like it's ready to play. It just doesn't on both sides of the ball. They looked a lot better in September and October than they do now. It's the bottom line. As far as the execution, it's an F. No in-game adjustments. The RPO was working when they got the ball. They got the first possession in overtime. They were doing the RPO. They couldn't stop it. You had the Chargers defense on their heels, and once they got to the goal to go situation, Gruden goes back to his 3 tight end set, and they get stalled. They get a field goal. Chargers come back and get a touchdown off the crappy defense. And again, the defense, I didn't see any adjustments. At least double up and help out Mullen. He was getting destroyed out there. I did not see that. So the final grade for the Raiders, I'm probably being kind, is a D-. There is some excuses as far as injuries, a short week, Marinelli just barely getting his hands and controlling this defense. I think if they play this way the next game, I'd definitely give them an F. Get basically a week and a half to prepare for Miami. And like I said, they had several opportunities to win. They just couldn't get the job done. That's the bottom line. Now they're 7-7 with a very, very slight chance of making the playoffs. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment below, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. And as always, go Raiders.